Hello and welcome to the Story Engine podcast. My name is Kyle Gray, and today on the show we have Paresa Noble. Paresa is the founder of Noblier Media, a podcasting creative agency which is helping experts and thought leaders create real lasting authority and real lasting results in their podcast by better strategy, data-driven metrics, and the support that a thought leader like you needs in sharing their voice and their message through podcasting. We're going to learn about many of the overlooked details that go into creating a podcast that creates real business results. And we will be co-creating a story showing how the support of the right team and the right people can create tremendous freedom, opportunities, and growth for you. So without any further ado, let's hand it over to Paresa. Paresa Noble, welcome to the Story Engine podcast.
Thank you so much, Kyle. I have been looking forward to this. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's been a long time coming, and it's always an honor to have experts in the realms that I love, and you're a podcasting expert, so it's just an honor to be able to showcase you on the show. But before we get into that nerdy goodness, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you're showing up in the world today?
I love that. Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Paresa Noble, and I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I am a creator in the sense of I love to inspire people to create. I love to create content. I love to create businesses. And I think, quite frankly, that's been a lot of why I do what I do, is to go out there and act on the ideas that I come up with, whether they're crazy or good or weird. I'm chasing them. And I think that's been translated in my podcasting agency that you mentioned. We help people produce podcasts, build out their strategy so they can actually see growth in their listenership, in their monetization, etc. And then the side hustle, if you will, my husband and I ended up starting a charity called Shield Our Schools Foundation, just with our littles being in the school system and really helping kind of protect schools and students from kind of the chaos of the world. And our whole goal is to stop school shootings. So a little bit heavy, but very passionate about it nonetheless.
Really, really important stuff. But before we get into that, you mentioned having crazy ideas, and I have a lot of those myself. And I'm just curious, like what are some of the interesting, crazy business ideas that you've had, and I can share some of my early strokes of genius as well.
Ooh, well, let's see. Should I start with, I think it's important to preface this with, all ideas are not great ideas, but they're important ideas. And it's important that you follow them because it teaches you something. My first one that comes to mind, it was the first, we'll call it a movement that I tried to get started here in Denver, Colorado, called Don't Hate, Appreciate. Yes, this was in college. I was a sophomore in college. And the whole premise was around keeping love at the forefront. It was an anti-bullying initiative where I created these bracelets, almost like the Live Strong bracelets, that said, "Don't hate, appreciate." And I went out and I sold them for $3 a piece and wanted to donate those profits to an anti-bullying charity. Now, that didn't get too far, but I learned a lot through that process, just about how charities work, what a 501c3 even is, how to get people behind one common goal. I think that was the first taste of it. And today it's kind of translated into, having AI at our fingertips and being able to create almost anything, especially with platforms like, Base 44 or Replit, where you can create a software. That's where a lot of my ideas are coming into play today, and just creating different tools for podcasters and things like that. So honestly, I could tell you there's been a lot of ideas that have come. Some have stuck, many have fallen, and really it's just been about chasing them. But I'm curious what your ideas have been. Are they similar? Are they different? What kind of things are you working on?
I don't think mine are quite as noble as yours, but my first, I agree entirely with a bad idea should be followed until you know it's a bad idea, but you don't know at the beginning. One of my first business ideas, I don't even remember if I had a name. I probably did have a name for it. I had made a trip to Morocco, and in Morocco, I visited the leather tanneries there, which are really cool, incredible things to see, incredible things to smell. But we won't talk about that too much. Anyway, I found this amazing. I was looking for the perfect leather jacket for me and had thousands to choose from. And I remember finding one that I really liked. And these guys were like, if you don't like the color, we can remake this jacket in 2 days in a different color. You don't like the sleeve, we can extend the sleeve in a few hours. Just let us know what you want. And I had the idea, wow, I should make a website where you can build a leather jacket in the same way that you can kind of customize a video game character and just like pick out all of the pieces of the exact jacket you want. And then it would send the order to Morocco, and then Morocco would send it to the person, and that would be an amazing business idea. And so I pursued this business idea. By like speaking to a lot of people, I spoke to a formal consulate to Morocco. I spoke with many different fashion designers and leather workers and many different things. And over the course of a few months pursuing and exploring this idea, I realized that I don't care nearly enough about fashion to have a high-end fashion business. Great learnings. Moved on, did something else. I've done all other interesting things like my first entrepreneurial nickel I ever made was in the AdSense business. So I would look for websites and I would build websites that were getting lots of search traffic. And this is maybe in like 2010 or so. And so I owned domains like glutenfreecrackers.net, plaidpants.org, what were Iraqi Dinari Revalue.com, catalyticconverterproblems.net. And I would have a couple of articles there and then use Google AdSense. So I would put ads on these sites. And if people clicked an ad, then I would make a nickel or something. I probably spent $500 like building the sites, having the articles written, all of these things. And I remember, pursuing this for a few months as well and getting up to about $97 in ad revenue. And the interesting thing is, to get paid by Google in AdSense, you need to meet a minimum threshold of $100 in ad revenue. And so that $97 was sitting in an account for so long until maybe sometime 2014 or 2015 when I was writing a blog post about this silly idea. And I like opened up my AdSense account again and then put a little ad at the bottom of the blog post. And was like, if you want to help me get this $97, click this ad right here, which is against the terms of service. Google, don't listen to this. Forgive me, Google. Don't take my $97 back. But I finally got paid. And again, it was like, I discovered that as much as I love like making money online, there's definitely ways that I enjoy it and ways that I don't. And which probably brings us to our actual topic at hand, podcasting. I love to connect with people. I love to share ideas. I love to create together. I loved the relationship elements of it. And especially in the early days of being a student, I loved being an entrepreneur student and being able to say, I'm a student and I would love to talk to you about this. And it opened up doors. And I found that podcasting did the same thing for me. I can't just reach out to somebody and say, hey, I'm a person, I'm a business owner. Do you want to talk to me for an hour? Not too many people want to. But if I say, hey, I have a podcast and I'd love to showcase you to my audience and have a great conversation, it opens up incredible doors, not only with my guests, but with my audience.
It absolutely does. It's so effective, and it's something I feel like people don't think about when you talk about podcasts, because the conversation typically is around, oh, how many listeners do you have? Or how big is your podcast? How many views do you have? How many followers? All that is very important for sure. But there's also this other side of the coin that gets overshadowed by that. And it's exactly what you're talking about. It's the relationships that you can build, the proximity that you can have, the way that, for instance, you were on my show just last week, right? It's going to drop here, I think this Friday or next Friday. And then we swapped and now I'm on your show. I feel like I've gotten to know you so much through our podcast ping pong than I would have otherwise having just met you at a mastermind, right? So it's definitely the relationships aspect is so important. And when you can build out kind of the nurturing side of it on the back end, it turns into a very good business development strategy also, because you can reach out to people that you would love to work with, whether it's a referral partnership or having you hire them for their services or vice versa. It's just it's a new avenue of building relationships and networking that not many people have fully tapped into yet. I think it's coming.
And I think that's one of the things that you do so well with Noblier Media is you help people focus on many different aspects of value creation and capture with podcasting that not many people are aware about when they are trying to enter this space or building in this space. What are some of the other undervalued essences of podcasting? Why do you love it? And how do you help people capture this value that they may not immediately notice?
Right. Well, I think it's helpful to start with any thought leader that you think of. I mean, I have this whole bookshelf behind me with a bunch of different authors. I'd say 95% of these authors, especially in the personal development or entrepreneurial space, they have very strategically positioned themselves as an authority figure, as a thought leader by doing three things: hosting a podcast, writing a book, and producing content on a regular basis on social media. The reason why I love podcasting is because it is the way that you can be most efficient in doing these three things. It's called the authority marketing model, where if you imagine a triangle and on each point of the triangle, you have books, you have podcasts, you have content. All of these things can be repurposed and recreated into each other. But the easiest entry point into that authority marketing model is through podcasting, because you have one conversation with somebody and that one conversation can be turned into a YouTube video, a blog, social media content, multiple pieces of social media content. And if you plan it correctly, you can create an entire season that would then be transcribed into your book. It is a very strategic way to create content at scale without burning out. And when you're really talking about thought leadership and trying to get on more stages and land more podcast interviews and just grow your visibility and your personal brand, it's a surefire way and a fast track way to get to that point where you have the credibility and the visibility that you need to land those opportunities. So that's why I love podcasting. And it's fun, especially if you pick something that you're genuinely passionate about to talk about. It truly is fun to sit down and meet new people, have these deep conversations and share it with the world. It's a good time, in my opinion.
I agree. And I also understand, and I really feel the burden of, I want to have great conversations. I want to have great ideas. And I also love the process of having and working on ideas as a writer, kind of by my original trade, which got me into this, of the process of wrestling with thoughts and building them out into a show. But the other process of getting it into 1,000 little snippets and writing the right descriptions of the snippets and having them on YouTube and LinkedIn and all of those things is very cumbersome for me. And it really slows down the process. And I think this is one of the things that you do well is you facilitate people like me getting to enjoy the parts that I enjoy the most and actually have my space and have my lane as the thought leader and not have to worry as much about how it's all cut up, how it's all edited and published and distributed, which takes a lot of energy. I think some people are very natural at it, but like we've been talking about, I love the relationships and the conversation and the ideas.
Right. And it's reflective in how you interview people and how you have those rich, deep conversations. And I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, it's definitely, it's a lot. You know, if you plan on starting a podcast and you want to DIY it, I mean, it's absolutely doable. There are a lot of tools out there, especially today with AI. There is a lot that you could do either that way or hiring a VA. But I think there's limitations to those things, right? When you are scrolling on Instagram, for example, the reels that get you to stop scrolling, they're the clips of podcast conversations. It's the clip that hits, right? It's the one liner that resonates so deeply with whatever you're dealing with or whatever you want to learn, etc. But that emotional line, AI can't quite catch it yet. Like, you have Opus, you have Descript that can cut these different reels for you, but it kind of pieces things together and it does a decent job. But the virality of what you're producing, it's subject to human emotion. And I think that's one thing that's missing in those elements. And then when you talk about a VA, I mean, there are some amazing VAs out there that could edit your show, of course. But it's also, then it comes down to the strategy of it, of okay, we're creating it, and if you're really focused in on this one side of the coin of building the relationships, then that works. But then when you look at the upside and the potential of having a top 200 150 podcast, that's where you want to bring in a team that could really help you strategize and grow. So I appreciate you saying that and kind of shouting us out in that sense. It's definitely something we're passionate about.
Yeah, and it's hard to do. It takes really good taste to experience that and feel that. And yeah, even with a good VA or good instructions, sometimes it's really hard to find that through line. And the clips that you are seeing that are stopping, I'm certain that it's teams like yours that are putting all kinds of thought into not just like, okay, this is the right segment of time, but are there, how it's cut together and like feeling together? Is there music? Is there captions? Like all of these things. And again, like I don't want to do it. I'm just, and I'm sure there are a lot of people out there like if we're all being out here being thought leaders, then I work with a lot of people in the medical space, and they don't want to. They've spent decades becoming a master at what they're doing, and they want to get to the healing of people and the making of impact. And a lot of these things are just unfortunate necessities. And so having somebody like you that can help with this. For them, they may not even know the strategy. For me, I'm a strategist, but that doesn't also mean that I want to be like, I don't want to have to think about the strategy for every single thing, even if I'm good at it. And so,
episode. Yeah,
mhm.
totally.
Can you tell me about some of the core problems that a lot of your ideal clients are facing? I think distribution might be one of them, but when somebody's coming to you or somebody who's like a perfect fit for your agency, what are the problems that they're experiencing?
Oh, great question. I think there's the one that stands out the most is a lot of people when they are starting their podcast, it is there's levels. So when you're first starting out, you're like, okay, I'm just going to feed this to Opus and let AI edit it. And then you graduate from that and you hire a VA. And that's typically where we're seeing people come to us from, and they graduate from the VA to a team like ours. And the missing pieces there are communication has been a big piece, is kind of not having a pulse on production, on timelines, on things being, not necessarily hitting the deadlines on a consistent basis. Because when you look at podcasting, it's the long game, right? It's the consistent posting it's consistent distribution, it's consistently posting your episodes. And when you fall off track, it affects where you're landing on the algorithm on these platforms. So that's probably one of the big ones. And then beyond that, I've been doing this podcast for a year, 2 years, and my downloads have been stagnant. Or I also have people who are looking at, how do I grow my business in a way that doesn't have to do with advertising? I think that's a whole nother aspect of it. So what I mentioned before are people who have the podcast existing. And then there's the other side of entrepreneurs who want to grow their business, but they're tired of Facebook changing their terms and conditions for Facebook ads every 5 minutes, or they, just want to kind of step into that personal branding element. And those are the ones that are launching their show. And from those people, what I'm hearing is I need more clients. So when I look at their strategy, a lot of it is being very intentional about who they're interviewing and how they're nurturing that interview, and how ultimately they're putting them on their list, creating those automations to make sure that they're following up. What type of content are you creating for your guests so that they promote your show as well? There's a lot of different levers that we can pull. And I think the main reasons people come to us, or the troubles that people are having, is number one, business growth and personal branding, a desire to grow both of those things. Or if they already have a show, it's okay, how do we actually get the traction on this and the momentum on this to take flight, rather than just spinning your wheels and creating content.
Yeah, especially if they are professionals and they're getting exhausted by the process, but downloads are stagnant. That's really discouraging. And you could have great ideas, and you probably do. And it's not a fault of the ideas you have, but it's reasonable for somebody to feel like, I don't have very good ideas because of this, or how can I compete? And it is also, there's having the ads landscape change time and time again, it leaves you feeling very insecure in your own business. If it's not bringing in clients, like, there's other things that I could be doing right now. And is this really worth it?
Right. Do you think it's worth it? Because you're the one that's really leaning into this, and you were doing it before you and I ever even met, which I love and I appreciate, because it just seems like such a different marketing strategy, a different business development strategy that not a lot of entrepreneurs realize the potential of, whereas you have realized it. How has it worked for you? I mean, how long have you had this show?
I have just barely crossed the 400 episode mark. So this is one of the most consistent things I have done in my business. To be frank, as a sales process in and of itself, and I changed up the format, and there was a lot of different reasons to do this. One, I think it's a great way to showcase my abilities to my audience as well as my guests. I think I've always enjoyed having it as a doorway to get more guests. In the same light, the last couple of years, I haven't gotten as many downloads as I would really want, or it hasn't like grown in a linear way. And though I know that there are good things in this process that we are embarking on right now, what we're actually going through right now, there's something really special here that I do that nobody else in the podcasting space does. And I'm still like, we've been building out this process and the system, and I don't think that I have perfectly nailed the flow to make this the most reliable thing. If it worked the way I wanted it to, then I would be very excited. It would mean that I would be spending a lot less time traveling and just bringing in people and having people come onto the show. The right people would be raising their hands, and I would have a full roster of private clients and a wait list of a few people. And so I can just be doing my own thing. And hopefully that would mean a lot more time so I can create solo episodes and just wrestle with my own thoughts, and create time where I want to be doing a lot more human adventures this year and a lot less business trips. Although I love business trips, and I think that my business trips, I have more fun than most people do on their normal human vacations, but I'm ready for some normal human things. So all that being said, I love it and I believe in it. And even after all this time, I don't think I've all the way figured it out.
Always iterations.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I've done new approaches to the format and the framework and how I'm following up and how I'm setting up the experience for the guests. And so it's growing more, but yeah, like, in transparency to everybody out there and you, like, I'm on the front lines, like, tooling things up and trying to figure this out and building the parachute as I'm falling from the sky or whatever the metaphor is as well. But I love the ride and I'm invested in keeping going.
I love it. Yes, please keep going. I feel like the world needs this show, this podcast.
Tell us about what do you think you do that you bring unique with your agency? What does your agency do that's better, that's different, that gets the results that you promise people, but in an easier, faster, more delightful or present way?
We follow the data. So I truly believe data, it tells a story. No matter what platform, what data you're looking at, if you can really understand the numbers and understand the different variables that go into making those numbers, it kind of paves the way of what you're supposed to do next. And, you know, when you kind of zoom out and talk marketing in general, marketing is a lot of testing, right? It's human behavior, consumer behavior paired with, you know, data analytics and looking at which image works better, A or B. Podcasting, it's similar, but it's also way more complex because it has to be a mix of what your target audience wants to hear paired with what the host can passionately talk about in a way that resonates. And it's fine tuning that and kind of adjusting it as you go. And I think what makes us really different is we're a small team. We have 4 people on our team. And it's essentially looking through to almost to somebody's soul. Like we're trying to really read somebody in and out from more than just a business standpoint. When we're talking about conceptualizing a podcast in general, we're looking deep within them to see what is the theme that would apply both to their passion and to their audience, and helping them conceptualize something that will resonate. Whereas I feel like many people, just not many people, I think a lot of people put good thought into what they're publishing, but I think there's also so much to be said about the pre-work that goes into the story you want to tell across all your episodes. And it can change, right? Because we change as humans, our offerings change, etc. But I think that's the one North Star that we've really done well at for our clients, is understanding who they are and then being able to translate that into a podcast brief for every episode. So before you sit down with your next interview, we're sending you a high level of here's what's trending in your industry. Here's some ideas on what you guys can talk about so that it can be topical when it comes to publish time. Here's a back story on your guest. So it's just kind of hand holding, right? And guiding the host through the best possible conversation that they could have by giving them the resources they need to do it. And then on the back end of the actual publishing side, it's really unique how we have built out our authority marketing engine, because there's, you know, authority marketing, it's a relatively newer term, right? It's something that's very evident when you look at any thought, Alex Hormozy, Tony Robbins, I mean, Simon Sinek, everybody has those 3 things, that triangle: the book, the podcast, and the content. And that's really our specialty, is on the back end of that conversation. Not only are we helping you have a great conversation, but then once it's done, how are we distributing that in a very strategic way to build trust and credibility for your personal brand? Which, you know, there's a lot of incredible agencies that do something similar, but I think the formulas that we craft for each unique client is probably the shining star of what our team does best.
One of the things that I think about in my positioning, because I compete in the world of speaking, and there are incredible speakers out there who can buy big stages, and they have huge authoritative brands and businesses and can do this, but they have scaled themselves out of being able to really serve. And somebody would come to me, not because I have the fanciest anything. And a lot of the people that I work with and know are actually much farther along than me in business and in their business growth than I am. And so they're not coming to me as a guru or for answers, but they come to me as somebody who's really present with them and helping them navigate their own minds and what they really need. And you're not going to get that from some of the bigger companies out there, which have you'll hear from the guru and you'll be inspired, and then you'll pay a lot more for them than you would for me, and you'll get a less experienced coach. Or a lot of times I've heard of a lot of people spending tens of thousands of dollars to get a shoddy AI script developed for them. And I think what you're saying, and when you having a very small team of elite creatives that are treating every project like art to see into somebody's soul, that's what we're getting compared to if you get to the point where you're with these big agencies that have overscaled themselves, then it's the same quality as you would if you had that VA and the some of the early problems that we had before, where they just have 100 VAs that are giving the same amount of thought to hundreds of clients that they're working with. And we want somebody to really see into us.
100%. And I love that you brought this up, because just yesterday I was talking to my director of brand strategy. And, it's an intriguing thought of, let's scale this agency to the moon. Let's grow, right? More. But what I was talking to her about yesterday is that we don't necessarily want that. We want to really go deeper into where we are now instead of chasing more. I think that there's a beauty in really being able to sit with a very specific show and read the numbers and pour all your energy into seeing that show succeed, than going after more shows. Because then it becomes, like you said, you're overscaling, and your attention is divided across 20 rather than 5. And with that is directly correlated their level of success, in my opinion. So I think it's very timely that you bring that up, because that is definitely something that I think a lot of agency owners or entrepreneurs in general would fall into, is, I really want to scale, I want to grow, I want to hit these numbers, but at what cost?
Yeah. Well, it's what everybody tells us we're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to scale. Like you, Kyle, doing your one-on-one stuff, it's never going to scale. I don't want to be the biggest speaking leader. I want to have a nice little community of people who know exactly how to use me. They pay me well for it. And I can apply those gifts perfectly for them. I can have fun on my podcast. And again, taking human vacations. And I don't need to scale beyond this to try and get there.
Amen.
So I want to hear a story or like a moment from your own life. You've been podcasting, you've built a lot of businesses before. When have you felt the frustration of putting so much energy into creation, but it's not sticking, of getting exhausted by the process of putting so much stuff out there, but feeling like it's stagnant, or maybe the processes and systems that you were using before all of a sudden aren't working? It could be ads, or it could be other things. And just like feeling like this needs to work. I love it, but it's not working, and it needs to work. And that frustration and despair of not knowing what to do.
I think the best story that is coming to mind is the early stages of Nobler. We actually, Nobler Media, it used to be Nobler Talent and Events. And that was what I left corporate America to create. I used to work at a company, Dish Network. Many of you know, it's a satellite TV company. And I was managing their national events program. So anything the company would sponsor at state fairs, home shows, etc., that was my program. We'd design the booth, pick a sales team, and have them go in there and try to sell. So it was that bridge between marketing and sales. It's experiential marketing. In addition to that, I was planning a lot of the conferences for our department, picking keynote speakers to come in, to rally the troops, get our numbers up, etc. And after being there for quite some time, I had my son. And when he was 1, I decided to take a step back and jump into entrepreneurship. And I did that in October 2019 as a B2B event planner. And you could imagine 6 months later, COVID came. COVID, darling COVID, what a time. That happened. And any traction I had acquired in that 6-month time frame, it all went to zero. And it turned into, how am I going to make this work? Having just had my son, I need to contribute to the family, take care of my family. What are we? And I can't even have live events. I can't book talent or keynote speakers to come to events. I can't plan conferences. So everything went virtual. And I remember I rolled out so many different virtual team building activities that teams could do. And we had a few bites. We had one company do a client appreciation event and do a wine tasting where we shipped wine out. We partnered with Longhouse Wines and we shipped 3 bottles of wine to 150 people and then got all on Zoom, and they did a wine tasting with the owner of Longhouse Wines. And that was fun, but it was the only one. And for 2 years, I was in this kind of limbo of, how do I make events work? How do I make events work? And I kind of just gave it, I don't know if you believe in God, but I gave it to God. And I'm like, I am going to follow the trail of what needs to be done. So whatever opportunities come before me, I'll follow that and see where this will unfold. After probably 3 years is when we really pivoted to Nobler Media, kind of transitioning from the event focus to more of the marketing focus and working with people who want to get booked on stages. So instead of being the one to book the speakers, I transitioned to helping speakers get booked. So it was a very subtle shift in how we were serving the community, but it was a moment that was very clear once I did it, because up to that point, it was as if I was, trying to swim upstream. Is that what you call it? Yeah. It's as if I was trying to swim upstream and the current's pushing me back and everything I'm doing is keeping me from progressing forward. And then when I began kind of stepping into, okay, well, what type of content can I create to help people get the credibility they need to get on more stages and get booked at these conferences? It's as if I turned around and started swimming downstream and the wind was kind of at my back. So it's interesting to look back at that, because when you're in flow and when you're not. And that was a time that I was definitely not in flow. It's interesting to think about.
And a few years later into this, there was a moment where you were in flow, maybe spending time with the family and had some freedom in your own life when things were working for you in your agency and in your life. What was a moment of inflow that you can remember?
It's interesting thinking about this, because for me, being in flow is moving as if you always move, right? Doing what you need to do. But then it seems as though things just start working and the opportunities that you start pursuing are more in alignment, and you start meeting the people who introduce you to the right people and open new doors for you. And I think probably year 4 to 5 is really when we started to see that. And it was when I brought on a team. I think that was when things started to really work, because I could kind of come out of the day-to-day execution of everything, come out of the writing, come out of the production, the editing, etc. And when you can lift your head up and actually work on the business instead of in the business, I think that's when I started to first feel that flow, because my energy was going toward what was more in alignment with my skill set, if you will, which I love people. I'm a people person. I love meeting people and building relationships. And that's where a lot of my time ended up going is to networking and going to different events, while my team, I trained them, they knew what they were doing, and I let them kind of take over the operations side. that's really when I first started to feel the alignment and everything kind of being in synergy, where I could spend some more time with my family. I had the time to start the charity. And all the while our clients were still winning. So that's probably where it all started to work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to note that was 4 years later. It took a while. A lot of people hit that a lot earlier. Some people maybe would quit. 4 years is a long time.
Indeed.
So I think that's, it just takes time, and as much time as you're willing to give it is what will determine your success in that.
Yeah. Are you ready to hear your story?
Yes, I've been waiting for this moment.
How in the world am I going to make this work? I took a big leap of faith, leaving behind everything that I knew in my corporate world. Demanding hours, but good pay, safety and security, because I believed in something better for me, something better for my family, and something better in the world. I started out creating an agency of event planning, getting people on stages and getting people's voice out there, just like what I did in the corporate world. But COVID happened and everything shut down. Everything that I knew and was used to and was good at and could rely on in an instant was swept away. And I was working so hard, creating so many different things, virtual events, virtual wine tastings and fun experiences, and trying so many different things, but really nothing sticking. Everything staying stagnant, no matter how many late nights I put in. I wasn't sure what was working, what wasn't. Was it my ideas were bad, or was I just sharing them with the wrong people? Was it in the wrong place at the wrong time? And it was so hard to want to keep going. I knew I was good at what I do. I knew I had something to offer the world, but nothing seemed to work or to move the needle. I can remember just sitting there in my office and surrendering to God for the first time. I've got to follow where the real opportunities are. And slowly, things started to change. I wanted to find a way to mix what I knew my clients and my audience needed with things that I was excited to talk about and share about and create on. I wanted to let numbers guide me and help me find the right way. I wanted to have a deeper understanding of story and strategy and everything that I was creating in my business and the people that I was working with and helping them get their messages out there so that it could turn what we were creating into real, lasting authority that led to business results that we could all be confident in. It took a lot of years and a lot of costly and painful mistakes. And over time, I began to master this process. And over time, I began to build a team, not a massive team, but a small elite team of people who understood my vision and who were committed to the art and the process of the people that I worked with. And over time, I could see and feel and experience and know that my team was taking care of me. And for the first time, I could start to see what I wanted to do, get my head above the business of just trying to keep ahead, of trying to get everything done, of trying to achieve things, and actually start thinking strategically and asking what I wanted to do. I found myself in rooms with people that inspired me and lit me up. I found myself in more alignment with my skills and my visions. And I found myself being able to take time away from my work because I finally had a team that I could trust and rely on. And I really knew that I made it when, after so many years of working so hard, that I finally got to start asking the questions of how do I want to see the world better, and started putting together a charity for my kids and all of the kids in the world to protect them from this world that was changing and this world that was unsafe, of where school shootings and violence seemed to come up anywhere. And it was thanks to that team that knew me, that understood me, that was supporting me, that I finally had the space and the energy to start moving the world in the way that I pleased. Now, for me, it was building a charity and taking care of my kids and my family that really helped me get to where I wanted to go, or got me where I wanted to go. For you, it could be making the impact that you really want with your clients. It could be creating. It could be living in the authority that you've worked so hard to develop, but just haven't felt seen in yet. And here at Noblier Media, we are the team that's going to help you with your story and your strategy and help you get seen and visible and allow you to have that safety so you can start really working on your business and on your vision and being the best you instead of constantly caught up in the rush of trying to create more without any certainty. And so in the next 45 minutes, we're going to teach you exactly how we do that at Noblier Media.
Oh my gosh. That just felt like you hit the bullseye with it.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Oh, I can't wait to listen to this back. And I'm like, I should be writing this down.
I'm happy to send a recording to you after, but I'm glad we got the charity in there just as a cherry on top. Slight pun there. Paresa, it's been so much fun exploring this world that we are both so passionate with you. Do you have any closing thoughts for us today, and where can we go to learn more about you?
I just am so grateful, Kyle. Thank you for having me on the show. And I think closing thoughts would be, if there is an idea on your heart, it's there for a reason. Go after it. I would love to connect. I am on Instagram most actively, Paresa BN. So it's Paresa B as in boy, N as in Nancy. You can follow me personally. You also can follow Noblier Media. It's just at Noblier Media or at Shield Our Schools. It's shield _ our _ schools. I think social media is probably the best way to plug in, and I'm very active on there. Send me a message. I'd be more than happy to connect.
Amazing. And closing thought. No, you had it. So Paresa Noble, thank you so much for joining us on the Story Engine podcast.
Thank you so much, Kyle. I appreciate you.